Hello, today is March 19th, 2026, and today is the 30th day of Lent. We're almost there. We're in the last 10 days. This morning, I got up and got up pretty early-ish. I woke up, I guess, in the 6 o'clock hour, but I decided to lay there until my alarm went off at 7. Got up, got ready, did my hour meditation, and then went to Pony Coffee, grabbed a tea real fast, and then went up to the church to meet with Rachel at 9. But on my way to the church, I was driving by the gathering place, and my dash lit up and said low tire pressure. And so I let go of the steering wheel just to see if anything was pulling weird, and it was fine. I was like, all right. So I just kept driving. I think that it's like a mile or two before the church. So pull in the church parking lot, get out, and before I even make it to the other side of the car, I can hear the tire losing air. And I go over, and there's right near the, like, as the tire transitions to the sidewall right there, I see this, it was like this sticking out. And then so I just got right back in my car, and around the corner from the church there are 3 tire places, like used and new tire places. So I just pulled into the one that's literally right around the corner. You don't even have to get on the street to get there. And pulled in there. They looked at it and said they could patch it, or they can't patch it because it's on the sidewall and it would make it into a bomb. And they looked for a tire in their shop, and they had one that was slightly smaller but not the right size. And I was like, all right, can you put some air in it so I can make it across the street? So they put some air into it. I made it across the street, showed it to them, and they said the same thing, that they can't repair it, but they do have, I could get a used tire replacement for $40, and it looked okay, and then, or a better used set of 2 for $90. And so replaced both back tires for $90, and they're used, but they don't look any more used than what was on there, and potentially a little better, but probably about the same, because my tires were actually good. It wasn't until after I left, though, that I realized I should have kept the good tire they took off and replaced, and sold it. I mean, basically they got a free tire that they could give to somebody else. I mean, it's possible that that's part of the great deal of getting, I'm not complaining. I'm not worried about it, because I got 2 tires replaced for $90. And I didn't want to just replace the one and not have the other back tire match. I don't know if that seemed like the most appropriate thing to do. And they spoke enough English to change the tire, and that's about it. So couldn't really have a what do you think, what's best conversation with them. But I just felt like putting the same tire on, replacing 2 was better. Anyways, and it was only $90. But I had them pull this out of the tire because I wanted to know what the heck it was. And look at this thing. I figured out what it is. You got a guess yet? I'm actually surprised how quickly I figured it out. But it's the bottom part, the middle bottom part of a pair of shears, of scissors. This this is the handle, and this is where it would loop around for the thumb, and this is the blade, and you can see that it's cracked right where the screw would go in to attach the two sides, and then you can see here, this is the inside where the blades would meet. But what's wild is it was in the tire this way. This is the side that was inside the tire, and this was poking out a little bit. So however that, I don't know, maybe there, I don't know how it happened, but it went, I mean, it took a chunk out of the tire. Yeah, so that was how my morning started. Was, but I was so thankful. I mean, immediately so thankful that everything. I mean, you couldn't have picked. I mean, the circumstances. Obviously, I don't want a puncture on my tire, and I don't want to have to spend $90. But it punctured my tire, but it plugged the hole enough to where it didn't blow out and it didn't immediately go flat. So I was able to drive the 2 miles fine to the church. Then once I was there, the place to get new tires, so because then I would have had, I mean, if it would have blown out or whatever, it would have been on Riverside, changing into a spare tire, that whole thing. So make it to the church, and it has enough air for me to drive around the corner, and just around the corner are 3 tire places, and so to, roll right over there, get it looked at, roll across the street, get 2 tires replaced, and make it back to the church only 10 minutes late for the meeting that I was going to the church for. And I'm only out $90. So I was very thankful for that. And then now I have this wild souvenir. So yeah, that was my morning. Very thankful that that is the worst that happened. And then had my meeting with Rachel and had got things ready for Sunday. My friend Dave Wetmore, he's applying for a church job and needed to record him preaching a sermon, so I helped him do that. And then I scheduled everything where I thought I had a meeting today at 1, and I scheduled everything around that. Something afterwards, something before. And I was like trying to get everything done before 1, before I hopped on that. And then it's like 12:55, and I opened the calendar link, and it's next Thursday. So it wasn't an inconvenience or anything, but I specifically scheduled Dave to come to be around that, and then I scheduled a house showing for after that, which I went and did because there was a house I found on Zillow a couple days ago, and it is in one of the neighborhoods that I'm looking, and it had recently been flipped, and it looked very nice in the photos, and it was right at the top of my budget. But it was in budget, just at the literal top dollar of the budget. So I was like, okay, let's look at this because it's move-in ready. And hold on, I need to get this phone call. Hello. Yo. No, well, I sent you the street view of something else. The street view that I sent you was I just was showing you like whenever I say I want to live in a non-house, like I would be so thrilled to live in that building on Charles Page. It's not for sale. I just wanted to show you a building. Well, I just drove by it today and I was like, holy cow, I'd love to live there. But I was driving to the lots, and whenever I got there, uh, they had it mismarked on Zillow to where they like it wasn't even in Crosby Heights. It was Pine and something that the lots actually were, so they don't exist. But yeah, but I'll still look for lots and stuff and see if I find one.
Work with you in regards to discounting what you would normally like. I think he's normally like cost plus 15, but
Yeah.
I think produce that he would discount it down to like cost plus 10 or whatever.
Right.
To make it work. So
Okay.
So that's the good news. We just need to find something, that will work. So we thought about maybe like 1,000 square foot duplex with a 1-car garage, like a new. We can probably, if we can keep it like under 50, we can probably build that and keep it under, keep it where we need to be. So
Okay. Yeah, we can keep talking about that. I'll keep looking for lots and see what we can come up with. That'd be awesome. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bye. That was Andy Esposito, my friend from church. And he is a realtor and works with a builder too. And so one of the ideas we have is to just find a piece of land and build on it. And that I would definitely be open to that. Yeah, anyways, need to, yeah, just think about that. But anyways, we went to see the house that we went and saw today. It photographed, so like they staged it and photographed it so well. And I mean, they would have had to have done I would think they would have done some photo manipulation as well, or some, just some touch ups and edits, because it was very much lipstick on a pig. They had flipped it cosmetically and that's it. And it looks good from a distance, but very bad quality. And the floor was like, I mean, as you walk around, it's like dipping and coming up, and it wasn't fully finished out. Like it was almost there, but it wasn't fully finished out. And what's also weird about it is the kitchen's in the very back. It's like it starts out living room, and then it has bedroom, little bitty bathroom, bedroom, and then behind, all the way towards the back, is the kitchen, which I don't know if I've ever, like, I almost think they moved the kitchen at one point. Maybe not though. It could be just how it was built. I don't know if I've seen that though. Yeah, so that I was already thinking before I even got there, just looking at the photos and stuff, I just couldn't really picture myself there. And so but I wanted to see it anyway, and I'm glad I went to look at it. But yeah, just even looking at the photos and things, I was like, I just don't picture myself there. Like, I don't picture my stuff working there. I don't really like it was like the feng shui of it was off. It wasn't sitting right with me, and being in the space pretty much confirmed that. So Anyways, that happened. Then I ordered a phone case for my iPhone 17 Pro, and there was this one that I saw on Instagram and I liked it. It was a little expensive, and I was like basically leaning away from it. And then I got an ad of essentially a knockoff version of it. It's almost very similar. I even like the design of it, just a part of the design of it a little bit more. And I was like, okay. And I looked at it, and it was much cheaper. Well, it was cheaper. I mean, it's like the expensive one was $80, and so this one was cheaper, and it came with a screen protector as well. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. I ordered it on February 11th. Like I said, it is now March 19th, and I order it. I don't hear anything for. I don't hear anything. I emailed them on February 24th and said I haven't heard anything. They finally get back to me February 26th, and that was only after I commented on one of their ads. And they gave me 30% off. They gave me a partial refund, and then then they were going to ship it out. It arrived today, 36 days later. And I was like, when this thing shows up from China, like, it's still, I have low confidence, and it does show up, and it's for a freaking Max. It doesn't even fit. And nothing about anything says for the 17 Max. It just says for the 17 Pro. So stupid. But so I emailed them right before I started recording this. I was like, I waited 36 days and it shows up, and it's not even for the right phone. Give me a full refund. And don't make me send this back to you. Don't even inconvenience me with that. You should actually give me a refund plus 36 days of grievance pay. It's not that big a deal, but just one of those silly things. I got duped. I got basically scammed. It's like I didn't get scammed, but at the same time I did. Because it wasn't a scam as in I spent my money and then never got anything. But they were, it shipped from China, and it took forever for it to get through customs and all the thing. So yeah, lesson learned. Well, the lesson that I learned was I just ordered it right from Instagram and didn't it. They had a good ad. It looked, everything looked good and legit. But what I didn't do before I ordered it was actually go to their Instagram page. And if I would have done that, I wouldn't have ordered it, because they had 0 posts. It was like the account was created to do the ads, but they didn't actually post anything. Because if you post something, then there's comments and all the things, and huge red flag. I did not. I just it was an impulse buy, but it wasn't. It was like I had already found the case that I wanted, but I thought it was a little too expensive for what I was wanting to spend. Then a cheaper version pops up, and I impulse bought that. Man, whatever. So that happened. I trying to think what else to talk about. Oh, you know what? This is the first video journal that I have not journaled before because I just forgot. Because whenever the tire puncture happened, I was on my way to journal. I was showing up a little early to the church to journal before my 9 a.m. meeting. And then worked, did a thing, went straight to the house to look at it, and et cetera, came here, started recording. And I have not written journaled today. I'm still going to, but this is the first day that video journal has happened before written journal. Because whenever I don't know what to talk about, I can think about what I wrote about and see if there's anything what I wrote about that I should talk about. But now, when I'm writing, I will write about what I talked about. I'm excited to eat. Still fasting, breakfast, lunch, and I'm excited to eat. I've been listening to more chill, ambient, classical. Well, not classical. It'd be more jazz, I suppose. Kind of jazz, ambient. That's been the mood I've been in recently. Tried listening to a metal record and I didn't turn it off. I listened to it, but it wasn't. I went back though to James Blake's new album would be a good example of the kind of genre, mood, vibe that I've been listening to. And this is a good one. Joshua, I don't know if I know how to say his last name. Idehen, Joshua, Idehen. So if it's 2 syllables, Idehen. If it's 3, Idehen. Joshua Idehen, something like that. His new album, I Know You're Hurting, Everyone Is Hurting, Everyone Is Trying, You Have Got to Try. That is a great album. That is more dance, and specifically, he put out a single last year of Your Mom Does the Washing, and that single is what turned me on to him. It like came on some sort of shuffle and was like, holy cow, what is this song? And so been in my library, and then he came out with this album, and that song is on the album in the middle, and it's worth listening to just for that song. It's like kind of spoken word, poetry, hip hop, dance, electronic kind of going on. It's kind of interesting to think about, like, if you're watching this, how far in the future are you watching this? And are you me? But mostly, if you're not me and you're watching this, how far in the future are you? Did this album come out recently, or am I dead and you're my grandkid and you're like, what music is this? And you listen to it. That would be wild. If you are my grandkid and you are listening to Mom Does the Washing by Joshua Idhen, that's a wild thing to think about. But also, you're welcome for turning you on to good music. Hopefully your parents didn't ruin you for good music either. Hopefully they learned something from me, and you're already on good music. Also, what is music even like? Hopefully I'm alive and you're my grandkid, so we can talk about this. But also, I'm 37, so it's probably more likely that if you're my grandkid and my kid is not a whore and had you at 15 or something, which maybe, and I forgive them, I love them, whoever they are. There's just a glimmer in my eye right now, and I'm not even looking at anybody. But yeah, it is very likely that I will not have a kid until I'm 40 or close to it. And so if my kid has a kid whenever they're 20, I'll be 60. And then if that 20-year-old grandkid is watching this, I'm 80. So there's some wiggle room there. That if my kid has a kid at 25 or 30 and you're my grandkid watching this at 15, as long as if I live to a healthy, if I die a natural death in my old age, then it's likely maybe that you could be my grandkid watching this and I'm alive and we can talk about it and we can listen to this song together that I totally forgot about but was so good whenever I was 37 years old. And everything in that song will still make sense, and it'll still ring true, even if I'm 80 years old and we're listening to that song. Everything in that song will still be the truth. Yep. Maybe you don't even have to listen anymore because we're in some cyborg future where Spotify is like installed in your brain and you just like think about the song and then you're like, whoa, I just listened to the whole thing. I know that's not the truth, but where I didn't have the internet whenever I was born and now I have artificial intelligence, and no telling where we'll be in 20 years time, 40 years time. For the record, I've been heavily using ChatGPT, but recently I've started experimenting with Claude. And I think I'm liking Claude just a little bit better. They're very similar. I'll ask both of them the same question, and they give pretty similar answers. But there's something I'm thinking that I'm liking Claude more in some respects. But just experimenting with both right now to see which one. When it comes to helping me with my Poets and Saints podcast, Claude wins. ChatGPT was fucking it up. And I use that word specifically because that is so true. Claude has actually been very helpful in processing and brainstorming and writing Poets and Saints episodes. So that's where I'm at with that. I guess I'll do a written journal now. See you tomorrow.